Hi everyone, you've landed at Aquascaping on the Fly Living Art Creations. I'm Anthony, your host and content creator. And here on my channel, I like to showcase how my love of spirit and Mother Nature guide me into every one of the builds I embark on, whether that's a terrarium or an aquascaping project. And with that being said, today, this might be one of the most exciting videos that I put together. It may not seem that way, but it is for me. It's a personal goal, and I have you all to thank. We just reached 250 subscribers. It was like a little countdown. We held forever, it seemed like to me, an eternity, at like 247, 248, and then we just jumped over, and I think now we're at 252. So I am humbled. I am just, I want to say, moved by the community that we're building on the channel, because here it's all about not being like the high-end aquascaping showcases where, you know, they'll put together this fabulous build that may cost $800, $1,200, $2,000. No, on my channel, it's about DIY. It's about getting the best deal, but do not compromise on your artistic vision. You are still getting out the tank or the environment or the enclosure you want to build. It's just we're scrappy. We're doing things that we can to save money where we can save money. And a big part of that is that I try to get all my tanks on sale. But as far as also the DIY, I also do most of my own foraging. I have yet to buy, except a couple of parts where I had to have a specific rock style for a build, and I bought like a bag or something at Home Depot. But for the most part, my rocks, my gravel comes from my foraging. And you guys know, as a flight attendant, I forage all over everywhere. If I'm on a layover and I see something and I can bring it back safely, then I'm going to bring it back safely, and I'm going to showcase it in a video for you guys to show you that no matter what city you're in, because most of my layers are in the United States, and I have some in Canada, but in the United States, I give shout outs to all the cities I go to. So if you're interested and you're new to my channel, I have a whole category of videos, playlist. They're about foraging and foraging in different cities that I go to. And I call them like little trash plants, plants that grow in the sidewalk that you would step on. I try to find things like that in certain mosses that I can't get in Texas and bring it back and put them into terrariums. And I like to experiment with my terrariums as well. For me, it's not just about aquascaping. It's also about my terrariums. I have terrariums that fascinate me just as much as my aquascapes do, because I can see how the plants are vying for the sunlight, and it's a battle between them on who's going to be the dominant plant in the enclosure. So that's always amazing to me. But getting back to the point of the video is, in the 250 subscribers, or 252, in the comments, if you're new to the channel, or if you watch the channel but you haven't subscribed yet, because most of my viewers aren't subscribers, 90% of you are out there are watching the videos, I would encourage you to subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. It just shows the YouTube algorithm that, hey, I like this content. And then when you put a like on the video, you're reinforcing that. And when you put a comment onto a video, that really is the trifecta for the algorithm, because I'm not anywhere near my intended audience yet. I'm still being floated around, and people are finding me kind of by accident. So my humble request is to please consider subscribing, because with a video that I do, I don't ever have an agenda, seriously. Because I do this on my own, and this is what I call, for us, this is a lifestyle hobby. It's beyond a hobby. It's a lifestyle hobby. It's a lifestyle hobby because you can receive so much joy, serenity, passion, creativity in this hobby. And along with that comes healing and through whatever issue you may have. I don't care. You could have the worst day sitting in your cubicle at work with a hierarchy of supervisors and people you don't like to work with. You come home and you can sit in front of your tank and you will de-stress instantly. And that is magic. That is, and some people may just think I'm going too far here. That's spirit. That's spirit-led therapy inside your own heart. That is spirit showing you, that is Mother Nature showing you that we aren't always supposed to be plugged into the matrix. We are supposed to have our downtime. And our downtime is not being attached to your mobile device. It's sitting and contemplating and going inner and healing whatever needs to be healed or working out whatever problems need to be worked out. You could do it right in front of a terrarium and right in front of your aquarium. So that is one of my big messages on my channel, and I have seen it happen over and over and over again. I have lots of you who comment about the very same thing, about how through no intentional act that how you've been able to overcome issues in your personal life because of this hobby itself. And so I think that part is amazing in its own. And that's one of the great things about when I discovered it. So if you're new to the channel, my channel is only 7 months old. And when I started my channel 7 months ago, I knew nothing about aquascaping, nothing about building terrariums. And it just was kind of like thrust in front of me, and I felt compelled to start a channel. And that was part of my work here, is to spread the light and the message through aquascaping, through spirit, through Mother Nature, to showcase to the world what we have at our disposal, especially in a time like if you're in North America and the political arrangements that are going on right now. We need something that's respite. We need something that fills our soul. And another thing that I do, I'm trying not to make this video all about me, but okay. It kind of is, but it isn't. It's about you guys. But one thing I do, every one of my builds starts with a walk through Mother Nature. And I'm usually in meditation prayer. It's a combination of what I do. I will speak out to the divine and my angels and Mother Nature when I'm about to go into a trail system. And if I'm looking for something specific or I'm looking for inspiration, I ask to be guided. And if I am looking for something like, the last time it really kind of surprised me, this happened. We've got the Rainbow series, which has its own playlist, but we don't have them built yet. But the Rainbow series I was looking for, it's a series of 5 tanks based on the colors of the rainbow. We're doing 5 tanks, not 6. Okay, so there's a reason why. So check out the videos and you'll find out why. I had asked for, hey, it would be great if I find something that would be cohesive between all 5 tanks, that they all could share, to give one uniform look in their substrate. And I'm not talking just about the aqua soil that we're using. I'm talking about the topper, whether it's, do I want to use sand? I really didn't want to do sand only. I wanted a gravel. I didn't want to buy a gravel. I wanted something that was from nature. So I'm out on a trail system and I get a feeling to go one direction. I wind up finding a bog pond that has 2 names. Excuse me. Has 2 names. Someone's messing with my throat chakra right now. It's called fairy moss or mosquito fern. Now, I didn't even know that it was native to North America, and I've never seen it before. I love it because it does look like a little bitty fern. And they call it the mosquito version of it because it covers the water surface to where mosquitoes cannot lay eggs on a standing body of water. And I thought, okay, that's just amazing. And I also found some duckweed. Now, I've found duckweed before, but I've not had much luck getting it to really take off in my tanks. So I got another sample of both of those. And as I'm walking through, I come across a row of houses that backs up to this wilderness park. And I always say, check out the fence line about any neighborhood because people throw stuff over their fence when there's not another property behind it that's being monitored. And sure enough, I ran into seeing a drainage ditch, a private drainage ditch from a property, not a city drainage ditch. This one was much smaller. And I saw a glistening pearl-looking object in the dirt. I dug around it and I found 8 little sandwich bags full of quartz rocks, the kind that are polished, the kind you would buy like at a Michael's store or Hobby Lobby, the specialty kind that comes in a little bag with an expensive price tag. Someone had thrown out a ton of it. And so I just sat there for the next 45 minutes, just digging around in the soil, finding all of them because they'd been there a long time, and being able to pull them out, brought them back, got them ready, and now they're sitting in a tub. And I think I'll be able to sprinkle them across the builds of the rainbow tank. So that's what I'm talking about. It's either that or the tanks you're looking at behind me, all the the hardscape, the wood structures you were talking about. I found all these on walks. And when I found them on a walk, I knew immediately what to do with it. So that's kind of where I come from. My builds are what I call intentional builds. So I don't have an agenda. It's not like, let's check the box off today because we have this sponsor that wants us to use this light and this tank, and what can we do with it? And then when you go to add up their prices, you're like, oh, holy cow, that's $1,200. Okay, no. I like to keep my builds around $200. I know that's an extreme measure, but that's my goal, is to keep it around $200. Now, my little Trinity series up here, those are 10-gallon tanks. They're just over $100. I think they tapped out at like maybe $150 at the most, because I do add things to them later if I think they need it. The one thing that I am mindful of, I do show you all my costs in the video. I show you, when I'm talking about water parameters, I show you the water parameters. I show you the whole truth, because you need to see this, because if there's other beginners like me out there, we have to work through our issues and our stressors that happen in the hobby that, you know, we don't always know about. So that being said, we're going to circle back now, getting back to the subscribers. So I wanted to do something kind of special for having us now reach over 250 subscribers. And I think I'm going to do based on the terrarium side, because the aquascaping side, you guys, I've got tons of little short videos that show you exactly what's going on, but I am going to talk about 2, definitely. We're going to talk about Tree of Life here. Excuse me. Tree of Life was my attempt at an origami style, where you take the imperfect and make it perfect. Now the shrub, this was a shrub that I found in a drainage ditch in an apartment complex where landscapers are throwing their debris. And it's a blonde shrub. And you know how hard it is for us to find, well, I'm in Texas, so it's very hard to find blonde colored wood. Most of the wood is brown to black, which I have in my other tanks. So when I found the blonde, I thought, oh my God, this would make a beautiful tree. And I had thought about doing a bonsai, but I thought, oh my God, bonsai with the disc, it's so overdone. Let's do something different. Let's not copy. The artist in me wants to create something new and different. So when I originally had the tree and I had it cut up in several pieces, I was going to put it in a 10-gallon. I had no intention of building one this big. But when I built the tree, it was too big. And the tree looked beautiful. It was wet. Wouldn't even fit in a 10-gallon tank. So I thought, okay, what's my best option? So I found the 20-gallon long for a very good price. And when I went to put it in it was too tiny. So I had to take the rest of what I had and add it all back in together and elongate it more. So yes, it is sitting off center for a reason, because it's not perfect. And when you first look at it, now mind you, the pinkish color you see in here, the pinkish red, that's Rosenvig Mini, and they get up to like 3 to 4 inches. I just cut them 2 days ago. I cut them down. And I'm so glad I did, because this is my true intent for this build. In the Tree of Life, when you first look at it, and don't pay attention to the leaves at the top, because those are there because they're taking root, but they will be a permanent fixture. This is Croton. And I've got 3 starts on it, and you can see there's roots here, and I'm waiting on this one back here to get its roots started. The croton will be permanent because I love the coloring that it shows. But originally, Tree of Life does not have anything on it. It's bare. So if you can imagine this with no leaves up there, you're just looking at this middle section here, the top to the almost to the bottom. The last 1/3 is where the greenery is. And when you look at it, you're supposed to assume the tree is dead. But when you get close, you'll see there's strands, and I'll zoom in so you guys can see this. There's strands of Christmas moss. Now, I've never planted any aquarium moss, so this was my first attempt. Now, yes, I use terrestrial moss in my terrariums. It's completely different. I love it because Christmas moss sends out these long shoots, and then it kind of like breaks off. So you can see some of the shoots are up to, what is that, about 3 inches? 3 inches above where they're planted. They're all planted basically on this base root right here. And when I zoom in, you'll get what I'm talking about. I have a massive base, and it kind of extends over, but it goes under the gravel a little bit here because it was sloped down too far. And I dotted the Christmas moss along just the big root to give a showcase first that moss started growing. And when moss starts growing, it invites other life to grow. Usually when you see something evolving, what are the first plants that come out? Moss is one of the hardiest things out there on the earth, and it's usually one of the first to pop up. Now, also, there's Bucephalandra all down the base at the same level as the moss. These are the leaves of the tree. This is the tree coming to life. It's a phoenix. So not only do we have the Tree of Life, which is a religious symbol, Irigumi style, which has its own setup, but now we're a phoenix. This is a complicated build, people. Oh my gosh. And I love it. So what I did was to give kind of the illusion. The tree is technically kind of like tilted a little bit forward somewhat, almost in a 3D, like it's coming out at you. But I sloped the back of it up with media bags and the clay pebbles, just to give it a little bit of height. And then, because I wanted to focus on this section through here, which is where the shrimp can get in and hide. So there's some nice little cave area right up in here, and they love the rocks. They love the big rocks and the small ones. So this was the first build that I had rocks in, and not just the aqua soil. And I found out how much the shrimp love it. So going forward, I'm probably not ever going to have an aqua soil by itself again, because I want shrimp in all my tanks. And the 2 that I have rocks or sand in, the shrimp are way more active in them. And I love it because they all have their own little personalities. But for this, in an Irigumi style, you usually go with 1 plant, maybe 2. I went with 1 plant. 1 plant that's in the field, which is all the Rosenbig, which is the pink. So before I cut it down, this was just a mass of pink, but it was up to like here. So it was getting too big, and it was overshadowing what I want my focus to be, which is right here, until that grows. And we also have one of the Bus Aragons over here in this corner that is in bloom. So it hasn't opened up yet, but it's in bloom. Now that tells you something really, really important, that the water is healthy enough to support that. Now, I do planted no tech, but I do believe the importance of water movement. So I have between a 3 or a 5 watt little pond pump or fountain pump. You can get these for like $7 or $8 on Amazon. I put them in each one of my tanks just to stir the water current going around. It's really beneficial for also the shrimp in there, and it helps mix up your nutrients when you're putting your liquid fertilizer in there. So for me, it's great. You can see, I always put them in the corner somewhere, and it makes a loop like a racetrack. It circulates everything around. And the shrimp love to swim against the current which is really interesting. I love to watch that as well. So this is one of the tanks I'm going to put the video on where you can see it up close. And then also we are going to talk about Blackfish. We're going to showcase Blackfish just to give you an idea. So right now I'm going to change the setup so you can see Blackfish, and we'll get started on that one. Okay, so here is Blackfish. And one of the things I want to point out is that I found Blackfish in a bike trail where you had to be really careful because, you know, bike trails going through one of those systems, the trail is very, very narrow. You got to jump off of it when the bikes come through there. When they come through, they come whizzing through there. And it was one such occasion I had to jump off the trail. I had to get back further into the canopy of trees, and I found Blackfish. I found Blackfish basically exactly what you're looking at right here. So I know it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm going to point out, because the rocks are added later. So Blackfish comes all the way to here. So there's only about 3.5 inches right here. It comes through here. It's got this massive, what would be a dorsal fin. And then it comes back, it curves up, comes down, and there's a tail back here hidden by this rock. Looks, I think, amazing. Now, of course, yes, this is called Blackfish. This is my political statement. This is named after the documentary about SeaWorld and Telecom that killed, I believe it was 2 trainers, and how these majestic animals are kept in cells that they cannot move around in or swim at all for most of their life, only to be let out and forced to perform. And it's like, to me, it's a form, it's just, I'm going to say it's a form of slavery. And the way they treat these animals is horrible. So this is my political statement about Blackfish. Now, Blackfish died, yes. So this is basically Blackfish dead. You think it's dead, but now the waters have taken over and they've reborn Blackfish. We have Anubias, Bucephalandra, Java Fern that are growing on Blackfish and creating a habitat for the shrimp, the baby shrimp that are in there. And in this tank, we have, was a very interesting story. I wanted blue velvet shrimp. Now, I'm trying to keep my color shrimp separate in every single tank so that I can keep the generational color going instead of where, like in some tanks, you'll see where they mix their shrimp. I don't want to mix it because I want to keep my colors as true as possible to the intent. Well, I couldn't get this color locally, so I ordered it off Amazon, and it took 7 days to get to me from California, and I'm in Texas, so it shouldn't have taken that long at all. And by the time it arrived, the water was way too hot. The cooling gel was nothing. It was hot. The insulation in it was making worse. I knew the shrimp were in danger from the moment I opened up the box. And I did a very, very slow drip acclimation that took over 2 hours just for that. And just to make sure that it was the slowest, stress-free transition possible. Now, during the transition, I noticed there were these little black spots in the container. And I found about 10 little babies. So someone had given birth either that day or during the night before, because these were brand new babies. And so I was so excited because I had babies and the 20 adults. Well, within 24 hours, 18 of the adults died. And I kind of expected that because they just could not take that transition from that hot water that they were in. They're hardy shrimp, but not during a transition like that. You just cannot change their temperature like that. So the company was very good. They credited me and everything, but I was devastated because, you know, I think of them like as my children. And Blackfish was not always on this peninsula bar area. It was on a table, and I didn't like the view from it. So to move it, I had to drain it all the way down to about 10% of the water was left. So it was just basically water below these rocks right here. And I knew I had 2 juvenile velvets in there. So when I moved the tank and I'm filling and I kept the water. So I just put the original water back into it again. I move it back to this location where I could have a view on both sides, which I love. And when I was putting the water back in, I saw 4 or 5 babies. And I was beyond belief ecstatic because I thought, oh my God, thank goodness some of them survived. And then I was worried about, oh my gosh, did I suck any of them up in the pump because I pumped the water out of it? And then I got nervous about that. So over the next couple of weeks, I would get up and check on them during the night just because, you know, they had such a hard beginning. And I was able to spot, I was still seeing the babies in there. So I thought, oh, that was amazing. It was probably, I want to say a little bit more than 3 weeks ago. Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, I ordered some shrimp pellets. So I put some food in each one of the tanks and I was amazed. I counted 25 babies. And I was ecstatic. My juveniles are still in there. My juveniles hardly ever come out. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting about Blackfish is not attached to any of these rocks. These rocks can be pulled out, rescape, no big deal. Blackfish has suction cups on the bottom of it tied to fishing line. So Blackfish is actually attached to the tank itself. And then the rocks were placed in strategically to allow for multiple caves. Because I keep learning more and more about what the shrimp and what other fish are gonna want. And so in this one, I really stepped up my game and I was like, all right, we're gonna do nothing but caves. The whole entire enclosure, all the way across, is nothing but a cave system underneath it. And they're all connected. So you can go anywhere one and come out somewhere on the other side. And they do love it. So I want to close up a little bit. Now, Blackfish is not even 2 months old yet. Tree of Life is 3 months old. And I've already had to do the cutting back on its growth. And I can tell you that in Blackfish, some spots where I have boosts that were so tiny, I just glued them, the rhizome right here to the side. I'm seeing new growth everywhere. All over the place, I'm seeing new growth. So when you get your water parameters right, and you know, I do have, so this one had no tabs in it, no root tabs. This one just has the liquid fertilizer. So, but I do dose it weekly, and I'm going to a bi-weekly system now because I've read online where that's actually more beneficial for the plants. So you just split the dose in half, but you deliver it at 2 different intervals. So that's what I'm going to start doing. But let me have you get a little closer. And I want you to be able to see. So no, one thing before I do that, you can see how far up Blackfish extends out of the tank. That's one of the features that I love about this. I think it's very, very striking. And I've had lots of people comment on the fact that, yeah, they love this enclosure and Tree of Life. People really, really, really seem to dig because this is completely different than the norm of what you would normally see. So let's zoom in. Let's see what kind of, let's pick one of their favorite spots. They love the corners. See what we got going on. Right. Let me get a little closer. I took my glasses off, so I have to get up close. Okay, all right. So, oh, and by the way, in my babies, I have 3 colors. Now, because blue velvets are a cross between, what is it, a blue dream and a cherry red, your offspring can have red spots. It could be red, it can be blue, or a combination of both. I have 3 colors. I have blue, I have red spine, and I have clear. I don't know how I have a clear, I don't know if they're just not turned color yet. And I have two sizes. I have a 1/4 inch and I have some that are a 1/2 inch. So that could be the difference between the males and the females. Now, this is one of their normal hot spots because you can see there's a little opening right here that goes back through into the caves on the other side. But right now, they're being super shy. There was some right here. We may have to go to the kitchen side because they do love that side as well. Let me span just to make sure. Okay, there is one of the tiniest, tiniest. Yep. You see right there at your extreme, whoops, left. See that? A red and a blue. Ooh, good. Whoops. Camera does not like that. See that? You've actually got 3. So there's a red spine, blue. There was a 4th. There was a clear one right here. So now you can see them. I hope that zooms in enough. Sometimes it's easier on my cell phone to do it. Let's see if we can get. No, the camera. Not. There we go. So there you can see we have 3 there. Oh, here's a darker blue. And another red. If you guys get dizzy. Okay, right there. You see, right, you got a blue, a very dark blue. Right there is a very dark blue, and then you have another one that has the red spine on it. Now, the most I've counted is between 25 and 27. I suspect that one of the, because they're 2 different sizes, I haven't researched to find out if that means male or female. But since there were not 25 babies in the container, there were about 10. I spotted 10 spots, 10 black spots. And I had a magnifying glass over the container. And the container was small, so it's not like I could see everything that was, in the container. I have a feeling that one of what I thought it was a juvenile may have given birth as well, because they don't, I think it was in there, they can birth around, I think, 30. So I have more in here than what I had the day they arrived. Now, I want you to see, and I'm going to have to go freestyle, so don't get wiggy, because I'm horrible at this. Oh, wait a minute. Someone's on the move. There we go. So you guys watching this, you tell me which ones are my males and which ones are my females. Now, I'm only using the light that's in the tank itself, because I'm trying not to get a shadow effect. Okay, so I think, okay, see, that little dude is going back into the cave system. Okay, we are going to go freestyle. Get ready, we're on the move. If you have motion sickness, this may bother you. Come on. It doesn't like that. So here, let's back up. Let you get to look at it. Okay, so here's the backs. Okay, so I wanted to show you. Can you guys see through the greenery? See the curve? See the tail? See how the tail goes all the way down? This Blackfish is almost as big as this enclosure. That's the whole point we're trying to make, is that Blackfish was in this enclosure and it's too small for it. It's crammed in here. Let me move my tripod out of the way so I can go back and forth, maybe show you a view from here. Its tail goes back down, 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 and literally it's like a half an inch from the base. Oh, here's the plants that are coming out. Okay, so see this? Look at that. See those new leaves? New leaves, new leaves. And I'm horrible at gluing. I admit that on every single video. I'm the worst at gluing. And I end up losing more plants because I'm so bad at it. There you can see part of the fishing line that goes down and just goes around it. I wanted to show you more of what I'm seeing of growth. Now the other two plants in here, this right here, this is the Anubias giganti. I love it. It hasn't transitioned very well. Oh, look, someone's back. Oh, red. Saw a blue one. Where'd the blue one go? Another one. Sometimes you'll see them hiding. But the okay, get back to the giganta. Okay, I love it, but it has not transitioned as well as I would hope. And then here we have a goose that I just tuck them in. I don't do anything else to them. I just tuck them in. And then, okay, there's a little red dude hanging out. Now, when we get back here, oh, there's a couple more. This is Anubias butterfly. I love this one because it really has, the leaf structure is really amazing. Okay, so let's go back and you can see the cave system through here. And here we're looking at the back side. Now hang on while I transition around. Okay, there. Here's one of the larger ones. You can see what I mean. It looks like it's got a red spine. Starts at the head, goes along the back, and the tail is red. So here is, let's zoom out so you can get, okay, I keep going the wrong direction. You guys are just like, oh God, his camera work is horrible. It really is. It's horrible. I say it's horrible. So there's a Java Fern, which I don't have much luck with. I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't know how people post these videos where they have this gorgeous Java Fern. Mine always look like they're dying. I have to cut out constantly what's not working. So here is the other version, the other side of what we're looking at. Now, normally, this is where they hang out. This is like their spot. They love that, and they love this little channel right through here. You always have like anywhere from 3 to 5 playing in the sand around here. There's this little dude, another red one. And here you can see the backside of Blackfish. If we got any on the rocks. Do it back out. Okay, so here it is. That's what I like about this. See, even when I'm standing here in the kitchen, I can see it from both directions. So I absolutely love this. Oh, you can kind of see a little bit better of the tail on this side. What goes down. And then there's this cool, oh, my faucet's in the way. There's this cool recess. I don't know if you can get it on camera or not because I'm not using lighting in the kitchen. There's this massive recess area where they love to get inside there and just chomp on whatever is biofilm that is on Blackfish, because they do go all the way up to the top. They're so small, they fit into these little cracks. and they just love it. And this tank just brings me so much joy. I just cannot tell you how exciting this tank is. So I don't see anybody else yet. They're all being, oh, there we go. You can see one right there crawling right up along Blackfish. Oh, here we go. More action here. When they come out and they all start swimming, it is so much fun to watch. One right there, but he's kind of just hanging out. Okay, if while I'm doing other filming, I see them and they come out, I'll bring you guys back over and let you take a look at this. But for right now, I want to set up some terrariums that we're experimenting with to give you guys an idea of what kind of stuff that I'm doing as far as pushing the boundaries on what you can do with the terrarium. So hang on just a hot sec. Okay, now let's talk about the tree of life up close. I hope you guys get a better idea. Here's what I'm talking about is the original trunk. It runs really all the way coming down through here, and then there's a section in the back that comes back up through this direction. With cutting all these roses down, now you can really see how the greenery has just really jumps out now, because there's nothing in its way. There's nothing, blocking its view. And you can see better the roots of the plants that I'm trying to get grow, the croton that I'm trying to get grow out of the top. So let's zoom in because I want you to get a really cool view. And you can see the pump that's in there just barely moves the water, which is perfect. And let's go a little bit tighter in. I want you to see the boost that's in bloom. You guys see that coming into focus? Close we can get before it gets a little blurry. Wow, it's going to let me get really close. Okay, there you can see. So that is a Boost Aragon, and you can see you've got the shrimps that are doing their thing over on the rocks in the background. That's an mono shrimp right there. You can tell it's not quite clear like a ghost shrimp. It's a little, almost like a, what I call weak tea color, and then with the black at the very top. But this bloom has been there now for a week and it hasn't opened up yet. So I'm wondering how long it really takes. The exciting thing is that, like I'd said before, since we know it's in bloom, we know that it is at least healthy on the inside of the tank, which is what we really want. What's kind of exciting about this is this tank, this blonde wood, had so much biofilm on it. I didn't think these shrimp were ever going to get it under control. And I'm so happy to say that you can look all the way around now. It's all real. They're keeping it really under control. Now, I do have the lighting up a little higher now because the biofilm is gone. So there is a lot more at the rock level that I want them to be able to tackle. So they are grazing on the rocks as well. It's going a little tighter. I want you to be able to see how it is all in there. See, there's a little baby ghost shrimp right there. I do love this color combination, this pink with the green. And you can tell where I'm talking about earlier about how the Christmas moss just really just shoots up nice and tall. I love it. We have a little swaying with the water movement. It really is a beautiful, serene looking scene, especially really pretty right in here at the core where I have more of the moss and more of the boost together. You'll see a little bit of the moss where it has browned back. I don't cut this off because eventually I have seen it, either the shrimp are going to eat it or it will grow green. I've seen brown grow green, which I was really surprised, but it does, and that is amazing. So let's give you one last shot at our little plant here. Oh, there we go. I'm leaving for a trip tomorrow, so it'll probably bloom while I'm gone. So I want to get it on camera as much as possible because it really is super cool. And I'm so amazed. I'm really happy with the progress of this tank, being that it's just 3 months old. And I've already had to cut all the rosa back, and that the Christmas moss is doing a beautiful, beautiful job filling in. I love that. I love the clusters of the combination of the boost with the Christmas moss. I think it really shows a lot of cool environment here for the shrimp to hang out in. So now I'm going to go and set up one of my favorite open terrariums for you guys. Okay, so what I have here is a traditional punch bowl, and I've got a couple of things going on in here. So I have a Rex begonia, a rattlesnake plant, and a native Texas fern right there. So I'm trying this as an open concept. Now this is a dried mushroom that I just love. I just put them in there just because I think aesthetically they're amazing. But look what I've done here. I've got these little cups of the punch bowl that I'm using to create a humid environment for some of the terrarium plants that I'm not quite sure would survive growing without a little encouragement. Let's turn this a little bit. Give you guys a different perspective. There we go. So also, this moss I picked up while I was on layover, and it's all of it. Was on layover in Seattle, and I don't know if it's going to successfully stay in here. I do have to spritz it every few days, and it dries out rather quickly, so I don't know if it's going to overall survive. It's not under a lot of direct sun, which the begonia and the rattlesnake don't like. But for the moss, I want to see if I can get the moss to grow. Now, as you can tell, there's a little bit of gravel peeking out right here. This was a gravel top open concept. And then when I found the moss, I thought, oh, let me see if I can get the moss to grow and cover that up and just see how it's going to look like. It visually looks amazing. I love the way it looks. But we'll see in the long run if this really does work. But I'll just give you an idea of how this just comes to life. So this is what I have to do. I have to go in, spritz it around, and now there's like 3 kinds of moss in here. And when it gets wet, hopefully you can see the difference. I would love for this to be able to grow because I think it is an amazing look. It's amazing because we don't have this in Texas. So I did put some of it in a growth chamber just to keep in case this doesn't grow. And then all I do is simply take my little cups, put them back over the plants, So I guess this would be considered a high maintenance terrarium. So hang on. Okay. And there you have it. Let's swap out to the next one. Okay, another dried mushroom. And this is what I call a little trash plant. I picked this up on a layover in some crack somewhere. And here's another one. This came with it. That's actually technically another mushroom on wood. And then here is a terrarium plant. I cannot remember its name. But I love this because there's moss in there. It's kind of dark. I might need to swap that up with something a little lighter and maybe put some more white plants in there. But I love it anytime I can find something like this that's dried and dyed and I can use it in the hobby. I think it just adds this visual appeal that's just, you know, kind of amazing to it. So that's another favorite. All right, this one is an 18-inch vase. And I had this first with water and some at-risk aquatic plants, but it never ever took off. And so I thought, all right, let's convert it to a terrarium. I found this amazing piece of wood that goes from the top all the way down to the bottom. It was covered, though, for a couple of months in a mass white fungus. And so I put some springtails in there, and they quickly took care of the entire thing. So now it looks, you know, amazing. And I've just put a little combination of different plants inside of here. Could use some new moss. You can see a little bit of residual of the dark green algae on it there. But overall, it's doing very well. I love the way it looks. I love this stick that's in there. It's amazing. Oh, look! You can see a roly-poly going in its little terrain there. So here's another one of my favorites. Okay, this one's so cute. You need to see it up from above. So the wood structure here goes all the way to the very top. And when I mean the very top, I'm talking about it goes inside there. I like to push the envelope on these. Here you've got just a combination of plants. I do have to spritz the top of this wood to keep this moss green up here. Otherwise it would dry out too much. But I love this. It's such a cute little petite little terrarium. I'm gonna show you how it looks from the side, but I wanted to show you up above first. So hang on. And here it is from the side. This is just adorable. You can tell I'm so prejudiced. They're all my babies. All right, on to the next. Okay, here we have another open concept in a fruit bowl. As you guys know, I do so much thrifting. I don't like to pay full price for anything, so I like to get my little vessels for around anywhere from $3 to $6. And yes, I am all about thrifting. Just trying to showcase that we don't have to use traditional vessels to create something really, really cool. Another open concept, yes, I have to miss this. It does have a Texas fern, so it seems to do better than regular ferns, just because we're in more of a dry, just a dry, arid place most of the year in Texas. I'm at a loss for words sometimes. But there is moss in there, so I do have to kind of keep that spritz. But this has got things in it from all parts of the country. Don't remember, someplace back east, someplace on the west. The little baby plant in there, God, I can't remember where I got that. That's what happens when you go on layovers. You just pick up these little plants. I just throw them all together. Anyway, on to the next one. Okay, and here's the last. It's a little cluster of my favorites. This is a Art Deco punch bowl. You can't see, but there's etchings on the other side of it. I rotate this because it is drawn to the light right there. It's got 2 vines in it though. It's got a speckled Hoya. I think this is a peperomia. And the sticks are in there so that they will grow up and out. And then here's, I can't remember what this one's called. Here's another vine. And then we have a rattlesnake. And I believe that's it for that one there. This one is open air because this fern decided it wanted to come out. And so it's in that transition area where I spray it a lot to see if it will grow. And what I love about this is a hand-blown glass, antique glass. It is not level, but I love it. It's just gorgeous. And then 2 smaller ones back. This one was one of my very first I ever did. It took months and months and months for it to grow. And it's doing quite well now. Excuse me. And then I've got one in the back there, also a really old one where I'm still fighting with the moss in that one to, get it to grow. So let me kind of go a little bit of a zoom in on that one. You can see the moss isn't as vibrant as it needs to be. And then here's this one. And you guys see, I've had a lot of people ask questions about lids. I use plastic dinnerware for my lids. Super inexpensive, and they're amazingly versatile. So here is a close-up. So you can see we've got some browning going off down in here. This may not transition, but let me move it out of the way. So you can see the one here. Of course, the gravel on the top is because we had gnats really, really bad here. But you can see how they're doing really, really well. And their light source here was one of the first things I built on the channel. This cost me nothing. This was all leftover materials. It's 3 spotlights in hollowed out logs. I think it looks amazing. Now, so you guys know that right here we've got Tree of Life. And I said I cut down all the plants in there. I'm about to show you what I created out of it. Okay, here you have it. Now, this was another thrift store find. I paid $3. This is almost 2 gallons. And I've got 2 of these, and I really wanted to do a small aquascape on it. And I wanted to have a place for all of the rosa plant that I took out of Tree of Life. And I'm actually going to call this one Pink Lady, because it really does look pink to me. And I'm going to see if there's anything pink, livestock-wise, that I can actually put into this. Even though it's small, I would go with something super, super tiny. And let's zoom in a little bit. So here you can see what I've done is I've used, you can't see it under there technically, it's aqua soil and then sand. And then I put this pea gravel on top of it. Now, this piece of wood is sloped. It rises in the back, so it goes up rather high in the back. And it's got Java Fern that's right in the middle of it. I found this when I was on an outing at a park with my family. And it's a really heavy foot traffic park, and I didn't think I was going to be able to find anything. I found this right by the entrance, and I was so excited because it has such an unusual shape to it, and I thought, oh, this will be really, really great. I've been wanting to put this in a tank for a long time, but it's such a small piece, and I love the fact that when you do a bowl, it's magnified. So I think it's going to look amazing. I hope this does well. I hope the plants do well. I did heavy on the root tabs. So they would have a really good establishment, and they will grow. If they grow up to their 3 inches, they will be, a really beautiful centerpiece to the entire bowl. So another one that's in my pink and green, but this one's going to be the pink lady, and hopefully we'll have a pink occupant in here one day or two. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this 250 subscriber appreciation video. I've had a lot of fun putting it together. As you guys can tell, I love the passion that I have for this hobby. And I hope that comes off on the videos as well. So you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you on the next video update.